At the end of the semester, I have to assign you a grade in the course. And one thing that I really try to do is be fair in grading because I think what a grade does, in part at least, it gives you some feedback as to how you, in fact, performed in this particular course. It's not a measure of your value as a person, it's not a measure of the value of your life, but rather it's the measure of your accomplishments within the course. And as a result, I try to do grading on an objective basis, and I try to I try to use a system that really mimics grading in life. And the system that I use is something called specifications grading. And the idea is, if you think about it, this is the same kind of valuation that happens if you go for a professional licensing exam, be it a medical exam or to be a nurse, to be a doctor, to be a dentist, to be a lawyer. That is, you don't have to get a certain score, and it's not that they give you a score in it, but rather you either have done well enough to pass it to prove that you're competent, or that you have not reached that level. So the idea is to define what a passing requirement is for everything that we're going to assess you. And I figured out a way of doing it which makes it easier because a lot of people just give a series of assignments and they have a certain mathematical equation that they're applying. But I'm sorry, it seems that I've bounced to the wrong slide. Okay, back here. But the way I try to grade you is in a very professional manner, and I'm going to assign points. Ultimately, it's going to add up the points, but it really is. You don't have to get 100 in everything to get an A in the course. But let me explain how it works. I think after you see it, you'll have maybe a better idea. First of all, let's talk about the components that make up your grade. That is, the first component, the largest component, worth 65 total points out of 100 for the entire course, is assignments, quizzes, case studies, and online discussions that we'll be doing. Basically, this amounts to classwork, participation, and assignments. By the way, these will be graded on um, well, I'll explain the grading when I talk about the grading. Let's just look at the components first. Then I will be giving you two what I call objective exams, sort of a midterm and a final. Probably multiple choice, maybe a short answer question or a couple short answer questions among the multiple choice, usually just multiple choice. And these will be worth a total of 10 points in your grade, 5 points for each of them. And by the way, I reserve the right, if it makes more sense as we're going through the semester, if instead of giving you a midterm and a final worth a total of 10 points, if I give you 3 or 4 quizzes worth the same 10 points, I'm reserving the right to do that. And I'll let you know. Right now, though, my thought is I will go the way I traditionally have, give you a exam shortly after the midterm and a final exam. And those will be worth a total of 10 points. And since this is a writing intensive course, you will be asked to write 2 papers worth 10 points each for a total of 20 points. Now, I should mention that points may be added to the course total for showing improvement over the course of the semester and for various other things. But let's dig a little more deeply into how you're going to get these points awarded. Let's talk about the grading scale. The grading scale, first on assignments, is you will be assigned 65 points for submitting 80% or more assignments exhibiting a good faith effort. Now the question is, what am I talking about a good faith effort, and how is this going to be graded? And I do grade the assignments, etc., the discussion boards, the quizzes on the following scale. I have a check means you did a good job, plus means you really have mastered the material, and a minus means, well, you got a bunch of stuff wrong in it. And I give these at first. I give everybody just about everybody a check on everything, especially since some of the assignments are just things that are sort of things that I need you to do. So if you're like sending in your email address to me, that I'm not going to give you a plus for that. If you've done it, you've done it. If you haven't, if you've done it late, maybe you'll get a minus. But in any event, if you put forth a good faith effort, that is, you've given it the old college try, even if you don't get that right, you will get credit for the assignment. And it doesn't matter whether you're getting a minus or a plus or a check, they all count as good faith efforts. However, if you haven't put the time in to try to seriously answer whatever assignment you're doing, you will not get any points for that. And I should mention, on in the computer, there's no way for me to put a check, a plus, or a minus, but the way it will work is there will be a 4-point grading scale, 4 being a plus, 3 being a check, 2 being a minus, and you have to get at least a 2 or above to indicate a good faith effort. 1 will indicate that you handed something in, that something was handed in, but it was not a good faith effort, or it could be a question of a violation of academic honesty there. And 0 is just if you hadn't handed it in at all. So if you do 80% of these and give a good faith effort, and it doesn't matter if you're getting a plus or a minus for this component of the grade, it, you're going to get the same 65 points. However, keep in mind, if you're getting a lot of minuses, it's something you should be concerned about, because if you are, it's indicating that you're not kind of getting the concepts, you're not understanding what's going on, and it's probably going to be reflected or not reflected well in your exam grades and in what you do on the paper. So I'd be concerned about it and make sure that you're not getting a string of minuses, a string of twos, but you're at least getting good percentage of those threes, of those checks. Now, if you haven't been as that diligent, you might end up with somewhere between 70% and less than 80% of all of these assignments. And rather than giving you 0 points for that, I will give you 55 points. This is also kind of tied into if in the in-person environment where the WU, you need about 85%, 80 or 85% of attend 80 or 85% of the class is not to be assigned an unofficial withdrawal. So this is really pegged towards that level, and I'll explain where that comes in a little bit later. Okay, so that's that component. So you get either 55 or 65 or no points. If you don't get the 70%, that you're going to end up with no points in this category. On the objective exams, the midterm and the final exam, if you get a passing grade on the exam, which is usually greater than or equal to a 70, I raised the bar a little bit to get the passing grade a little bit higher, but anybody who gets a 70 or above will get 5 points because that will be a pass for the objective exam. If you get less than a 70, you will get 0 points. And if you fail to hand in one of the objective exams or any of the objective exams, for each that you don't hand in, 5 points will be deducted from your course total. Now let's turn to the papers. Here's going to be the grading scale. 5 points, you're going to get 5 points for a pass. It's a paper that exhibits a satisfactory understanding of the material and skills. If you do a really good job, show mastery of the material and the skills, you'll get 10 points on that paper. And if you don't hand in the paper at all, you will get minus 5 points for each one you do not hand in a timely fashion. If there are some issues about timely fashion, let's not worry about it. Let's take that up individually. And if you hand it in and you don't even hand in something that shows that you understand the material, you will end up with 0 points. Now, there are a few things that will change the average. That is, points may be added for participation and showing improvement during the course of the semester. And there is an extra credit or an honors paper. If you don't qualify for an honors, you may do the honors assignment and write the paper for extra credit, and I will pump up your grades, add points to your grades based on how well you do on that extra credit assignment. Now, let's see how that figures in to calculating a course grade. If you get 95 points, so if you were looking at it, let's say you get 65 points, you've done the assignments that you need to. You've passed both the midterm and the final. That gives you another 10 points. You're up to a 75. And you get a high pass on both of the papers. That gives you the full 25 points. That's how you'll get a 95. That's how you will get 95 points, and that will get you an A in the course. If you do the same kind of thing, do the 65%, do the 80%, hand in 80% of the assignments, get the 65 points there, pass the midterm and the final, the objective part, which will get you another 10 points, will get you up to 75. And then if you pass both papers, get you another 10 points, that will get you up to 85. So that's how you will be able to earn a B in the course. Now, and this is for Sue, if you have real problems writing and you're not getting in what you need to, or if you can earn 75 points, thinking of it this way, that is, let's say you get 65 points for doing 80% of the assignments. And let's say you pass one of the objective tests but not the other, and you pass one of the papers but not the other, that will get you a total of 65 and another 10 points, 75 points. That will earn you a C in the class. Oops. Now, if you manage to lose points, etc., and get in the about 65 points, you will end up with a D in the course. Now, I'll be assigning like A pluses, A minus pluses, and minuses will be awarded for scores that fall between these two, between any of these thresholds of scores. And if you don't make it to 65, you'll get to do a total of 65 points, you will get an F, failure in the course. If you violated the academic integrity policy, which we'll talk about in a little while, plagiarism, if you've copied something and you have not, and in this course, there shouldn't be that much that you're ever copying, because I'm going to ask you to write papers that are expressing your own understanding of the concepts. So you shouldn't be, you should be able to do that without quoting anybody, but you may quote people in the process. But if you do not make it clear that you're quoting somebody, but you're handing it as if it's your own, that's a case of a violation of academic integrity policy, and that could earn you either a D or an F in the course. I usually give you a D in the course because with an F you can take the course over again. With a D, if you get assigned a D, you can still take the course. I should say, if you get an F, you can take the course over again, and whatever grade you get the second time wipes out your F. With a D, if you take the course over again, which you can, the two grades get averaged together, so the D will still pull it down, and it's a punitive grade. It is punishing you for violating the academic integrity policy. The same thing will be true for getting caught cheating on any of the objective exams, and even if they're being done online, I have caught people cheating on those exams. Now, there's also a grade of WU. It really stands for unofficial withdrawal. And if you fail to submit enough work, the equivalent of stopping to attend classes, and you're allowed, when if you're attending classes, 6 hours that you haven't attended, nothing to receive a you get a buy for 6 hours. More than 6 hours, you can receive this WU. So if you haven't handed in enough work, the equivalent that you kind of stopped attending, you you may end up with a WU in the course. So that's the way the course grading is going to work. And as I mentioned, there'll be opportunities for getting extra credit and pumping up your grades.